One of those days.
Hi, I'm Paul Sánchez.
And I'm Loudon Jewett.
And we are Bedlam.
Today, I thought we'd talk a little bit about how I approach
More lute
accompanying. Yeah, lute stuff, but with voice. So it's going to be a kind of a combined episode today. And what I just wanted to do, combined. It's always both of us making it, while the accompanist sits in the back doing all this work and she gets all the glory. As she should.
Voulez-vous une chanson composée et nouvelle des garçons des faubourgs qui aiment bien à boire. Dralin, dralin, dan, 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 dralin, dralin, dan, dan, dan.
But I wanted to chat a little bit today about how some very simple things you can do to help the singer bring out important words. And I think a lot of this has to do in general with accent and how do we accent things? How do we accent important words? So I think again today we're going to be looking at Now I See Thy Looks Were Feigned by Thomas Ford. And we'll have a link below for the score so you can follow along. And if you're looking at the score, we'll just stick with verse 1. And right off the bat, you see that Kayleen says now. Dotted quarter note. Clearly an important word, right? So as the lute player, it might not be a great idea for me to just be like on the word now. I may want to bring that out in some manner. And I think one of the easiest ways to do that is to arpeggiate the chord. And depending on the word, the arpeggiation can be done at different speeds.
And of course, this is not written in the score. This is
all
up to the musician.
Yeah, you don't have any instructions on when to roll or when not to, so you have to use the words as a guide. So if Kayleen is singing, Now I See Thy Looks Were Feigned. Okay, so how can I help bring out the important words? So on the word now, I've got this nice little G minor chord, and what I can do is I can roll it. And then I see thy looks were feigned. So that way, the important words, you'll notice on the word were, the composer was very nice and there's just one note. It's not important word. And you do have to kind of think about it a little bit and you go, well, you don't want to roll every chord, right? So you may say, but Loudon, the word see is important. Okay, so if I roll C, then we end up with, oh, I see thy looks. There's a lot of rolling going on there. So you have to kind of build this hierarchy. Okay, what's more important, now or C? And because now is a dotted quarter note, it's the first word, it's on a downbeat, I decide I'm going to prioritize now. I see. And then what does she see?
Thy looks were feigned.
And that's how I can kind of emphasize what she's singing. And I can also use the lengths of chords. So if I wanted to, for example, de-emphasize something that she's singing, is there a good, let's see, quickly gained, soft thy skin like wool of weathers. Oh, there aren't really great examples in this one.
What about Siren Pleasant?
Siren Pleasant. Yeah, for that one, I could do something like a roll. So at the end of this piece, if you go to the very, very end, you'll see this little refrain that keeps coming back. It says, siren, pleasant, foe to reason. And on the word siren, I can do a nice big roll, right? Siren, pleasant. And I can de-emphasize the pleasant, right? So we can do that. You mind singing it with me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's just...
Siren pleasant, for to reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there you go. So that way, now if I took that all out, let's try that, and I just plain Jane pluck the chords.
Yeah.
Can we do that? Okay.
At Siren?
Yeah, at
Okay.
Siren. Let's give that a shot.
Siren pleasant, for to reason.
Which is still fine because she's doing a lot. But how do I just add that extra little layer? Yeah, and I think it becomes really important when you do it over and over and over again. And maybe somebody has a chance to hear it a couple of times. Maybe the first time they hear us do it, they're like, oh, Kayleen, what she's doing is so amazing. And then they hear us again and they go, oh, wait, Loudon's doing a little something there too to help kind of back it up. So I feel my role as the accompanist is kind of like behind the scenes. I'm like trying to make her sound better and not put myself forward. And I think a very simple way of doing that is to use arpeggiation, to use rolls, to emphasize what she's doing and to kind of back it up. And as I said before, you do have to be careful. Sometimes I think people roll too much and they lose track of also the value of silence. I think sometimes silence can be really, really helpful. Yeah. So if we just go back to the beginning of this piece, if you're willing to sing Now I See Thy Looks, you'll notice, I'm not doing much on C because I want to allow her to kind of take control of the rest of the opening. I don't need to always be doing something.
Now I see thy looks were feigned, quickly lost and quickly gained.
And I can, play around and she can experiment and do different things. And our rehearsals are very much like that. She'll sing through the piece and I need to hear it a bunch of times.
And we'll find what we don't like and...
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting.
And we have to do every verse.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. And maybe just to give you a little bit of contrast, can we do feigned acceptance?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so looking at the third verse now, how this might be a little different than Now I See Thy Looks Were Feigned. This starts with a different kind of feigned.
It's a different spelling of feigned, which actually means the opposite thing. So feigned, F-E-I-G-N, is like, your looks were feigned as in they were false. But now, feigned acceptance when I asked.
I wish I could accept.
Feigned, this is like happily, you accepted me happily when I asked.
You accept, yeah, that's a good...
Yeah.
For a long time we didn't know the difference between the two, and that made some problems. So this is kind of the...
Now we know.
So the first one was kind of a little aggressive, and this one is a little more beautiful.
Feigned acceptance when I asked, lovely words with cunning masked.
So just a little more delicate and kind of going along with what she's doing. So I'm always actively listening, and I try not to have a plan. Believe it or not, because I think it's more exciting to just let her go, and then I try to respond to what she's doing. Sometimes it means things don't go perfectly, but it's way more exciting. So I hope you can use this in your own accompanying of singers. And in your own pieces. And thank you for watching. Yeah. I hope you like and subscribe. Yes, I almost always forget that. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye!